apparently, the furthest object in the sky that you can see is Andromeda, the galaxy. But when they first realized something was out there, Andromeda, they actually called it a nebula, not a galaxy, because it was just a fuzzy, cloudy thing up in the sky, and they didn't know what it was. But we knew something was there. And as telescopes got more powerful, they realized, oh, it's not just this cloudy thing, there's stars back there. And then telescopes got even more powerful, and they said, oh my gosh, there's billions of stars back there, out there. Billions of stars. There's a galaxy out there, 2 million light years away, that we can see with the naked eye. It's just so fascinating to me that that's how this process of discovery of our world. And for me, I always think about how does that correlate to our discovery of ourselves? Because what happens in the micro happens in the macro and vice versa. And so I think when we're changing and growing, when we are seeking a new level of expression of ourselves, it's often like that. That we're making a move towards something, and it's always sketchy and not quite clear what that is. We don't know what it's going to look like. We don't know what it's going to feel like. We have no idea truly what it's going to require of us. So it's just this nebulous thing in our lives. We see ourselves kind of as a nebula. We don't know. And that's why we often don't like it, because we don't know what it is. We have no clarity. And we have no control. We have no control. We have no information. We just have this cloudy thing happening. But as we stay in that, if we are willing to stay in the cloudy stage, and if we're willing to do our spiritual work, prayer and meditation, and follow the steps that are given to us during that prayer and meditation, then we will get to more clarity. We will start to see the individual stars. And at some point, whenever it happens, whenever it's time, we get to marvel at this whole creation that we've stepped into that we never knew existed and could not fathom. Think about that. And how many times do we stay in or get to the nebula stage and decide to haul it out of there? I almost said something else. We decide to haul it out of there because it is cloudy. And we don't know what it is. And we can't quantify it. And we don't know how long it's going to be there. I don't know how many years it took from the nebulous stage when we thought it was just this cloudy thing to where we said, oh my gosh, look at it, we got to call it a galaxy because there's just billions of skies. This is not just some cloudy thing up in the sky. This is a whole world of magnificence. So we got to stay in the cloudy stage. As uncomfortable and as dark as it is. If we're ever going to get to the magnificence. And we have to do the work. So somebody was creating stronger, more powerful telescopes. Somebody was working on that. And then somebody started using it and taking to the night sky with them and figuring out what that was. looking at it, going back again and again and again until they knew what it was. And I don't know if we ever really know exactly what it is or exactly what it means, but we know there's a whole world out there of magnificence. That's what happens with us. I still do believe that the greatest journey you can ever take is the one in your consciousness. There are some wonderful places to go in this world, places that will take your breath away, places that seem otherworldly, experiences that will light your soul on fire. I still think none of them will ever match the exploration into your consciousness, delving more deeply into your consciousness and doing the work, going deep, have an experience with God or whatever you call it, whatever your understanding is of God or consciousness or thought, the universe, whatever that is. Go there. Because it deepens everything else. It'll open worlds up to you that you didn't even know existed or never even cared about. But if you'll stay in deep, if you'll keep looking more deeply, more deeply, more deeply, even when it scares the bejeebers out of you, you'll get to magnificence sooner or later. Even if that magnificence is peace. It doesn't have to be something that blows your hair back and knocks your socks off all the time. I think we're always waiting for the bells and whistles. And we think in this world, and I think that's what our culture says, if you want to do something, it's got to have this big return on investment. And it should knock you out or something like that. And maybe it does in a way. But mine are always quiet and sacred. Choke me up. Catch my breath. Bring happy tears. Or just tears of recognition that, oh my gosh, I discovered something I didn't know existed that is me and that is God. And it changes my life forever from that vantage point. From that intersection of I was in the cloudy and now it's getting more clear. Everything was nebulous, and oh my gosh, I don't know what I got, but look at that stuff, look at all the stars. In that moment of recognition when you realize you're doing something, expressing something you never ever did before, even if it's uncomfortable, it is a magnificent thing. So I don't know, you might have moments where all of a sudden you're hearing choirs singing and stuff like that. Where it feels like you're on a motorcycle 100 miles per hour streaking down the highway. And you're like, woo! That might be your spiritual recognition that something has happened in your life, something has shifted in your consciousness, and you are now in a different place. Maybe you have that. Mine is different. And it's all good. And it is life-changing, and it will bring up goosebumps on you. And you'll think, my gosh, this is happening. But it always starts out cloudy because we don't know where we're going. We just know we're going. It is nebulous. And you might, like I do, Start looking for, okay, how do I clear out the nebulous stuff? How do I get to that? How do I make it happen more quickly? Because I don't want to be in the cloudy space. Maybe I should talk to somebody. Maybe I should go somewhere. Maybe I should read something. And that'll help me. Maybe I'll go back to my favorite spiritual book and it'll tell me what's happening. Maybe it will. But usually when we're moving to the next level of expression, what you were using before is not going to serve you in the next level of expression. Or you're going to use that same tool, that same mechanism, that same vehicle in a different way, or it'll hit you in a different way, and you'll go, oh. When I first heard, "Be still and know that I am God," I associated God with a God out there. Beautiful thing. Be still and know that I am God. That gave me more peace than I had ever had before when I really settled into that scripture, that line from Psalms. Be still and know that I am God. For me, that meant that was all that was required in the moment. Sit and be still. And then, when I was going through something else, to another level of expression, suddenly it was no longer a God out there. It was this, me. And I'm talking to myself. Be still and know I am God. Man, when that hit me, it was a blowback moment, but it was quiet. It was like, oh, gosh. But it was. Because all of a sudden I didn't understand it as God out there anymore. And I didn't ask for that. I didn't know I was going there. But in my prayer and meditation, I kept quiet and I was being still. I'm like, God, I gotta be still. What? Can we have a time limit? How many months? How many weeks? Something, tell me something. I'm being still. All right. All right, God, I'm being still. Still being still. Yep. Guess I'll sit and be still today. Stuff's hitting the fan. Feels like my world's falling apart. Don't know what to do. All this nebulous crap flowing all around in my life. Still being still. But it worked before, and I had this level of peace, but I was willing to stay in it. Stay in it, stay in it, stay in it. Don't have an answer yet, stay in it. Because if I quit now, the answer might have been in the next moment of meditation. If I quit now, answer could be right there waiting for me. I've quit enough times, I know not to quit anymore. So I just sit, but sometimes I'm doing this. Come on, God. What's happening? What's happening? Maybe you're at Paul and Judy's house. I don't know. What are you doing over there? Yeah. And one day I'm sitting there, and I'd heard that. Somebody say, I am God. And I thought, okay. I'm open. Always open. Always open. And then in a moment of quiet, I went, be still and know I am God. Tell you what, there's no going back after that. There's no going back unless you want to close your eyes shut your ears, do this, and run in reverse. There is no running in reverse. All you do is stick your head in the sand and let life go by. That was my experience. That was my next level of expression. And I'll tell you what, once I got there, the work started. I think I had more nebulous crap after that than I did before it. Because I thought, what does that mean? What are you calling me to? It's a whole lot different than thinking God is out there, because then that means waiting for him or her, it, to do something for me. Fix it. Fix it, fix it. And with the I am God, God is saying, I gave it to you. I gave it to you. All that I am, you are. It's in your hands. Different game, different life, different way of showing up. Far different level of expression. So I got to sit with that. And there were moments when I remembered that, and I'd be in the midst of something, and I would say, so how do I show up as my divinity, as the divine in this moment? How? What does it look like? So when I sit at my desk to do my work, my divine self is now working. What does that look like? When my husband and I are discussing something, what is the wife who is steeped in her divinity? How does she show up in that conversation now? Twilight Zone. When I'm in a meeting, how do I show up in that meeting as my divine self? Board member, spiritual leader, what does that look like? What's that look like? What's it sound like? What am I thinking about when others are talking or speaking? If I'm asked to resolve something, how do I resolve it as my divine self, not just as Kim who showed up today and I'm feeling pretty good and, but I'm still a little distracted because I got a lot of crap going on. My divine self says, I have given you everything. You are everything. So all of that stuff that you worry about is irrelevant because you are an infinitely powerful spiritual being. How does the infinitely powerful spiritual being show up now? Does she speak or not speak? And if she speaks, what does she say? What's her tone of voice? What's her wisdom? Do I rely on just the stuff that I personally know, things I've learned, books I've read, or am I going to get quiet for a moment and let Spirit speak through me? What's that look like? When I feel tired and I don't feel like it. And I just want to get back in bed. And let the world go by. How does the infinitely powerful spiritual being show up? Does she get out of bed? What does she do before she gets out of bed? I've been there, and I've had to. Before I got out of bed, I was doing some talking to myself. I'm talking to my body from my spirit, letting my body know that it is infinitely powerful and strong. And whatever the day requires, we've got it and more. My spirit is talking to my mind. I know you don't feel like it, but if this is something you're choosing, and yes, I choose this is how you can show up. Because you have infinite mental capacity, infinite energy for the day, infinite enthusiasm for what's ahead of you. Flip the switch and go. I've had to do that. I've had to use every tool that I use. Songs, I got my playlist going. I might be dancing around the house. I might wear a particular thing. There's some things that make you feel a certain way, and other things you say, oh, I'm not wearing that today. But there's all of us, I think, most of us, may have an outfit that says, I'm doing this today. Got this. And nobody has to tell you that you don't look good that day or feel good that day. A lot of us have that. I had to go for that outfit that day because that made me get out of bed. And the place that I was going, I was singing every song in that playlist on the way. Music was blasting. I'm sure they heard me 4 cars back. I know they heard me. I'm in the car all by myself, singing my heart out. Because that's what I needed to do to show up as my divinity. And where I was going, I knocked that thing out of the park. I just went up, and that ball went all the way out. It didn't even hit anything. It's probably still sailing. That was months ago. Yeah, sometimes that's what it is. We get to a next level of expression. But you got to stay in the cloudy days. You got to stay in the part where you're not sure what's happening and keep asking, keep asking, keep asking. What now? How do I show up? What do you want from me? What is this? And be willing to tell yourself, I've got this. Now I've switched to using we because I'm talking to spirit, body, mind, and heart all the time. And I say, we got this. And if I notice one of the 4, or 2 of the 4, some days 3 of the 4, spirit's never lacking. But sometimes body, heart, and mind aren't willing. So that means spirit's got to take up for the other 3. So I talk through spirit to body, mind, and spirit. Body, mind, and heart. So maybe I have to have a good cry in the shower before I get out and get dressed in that outfit. Sometimes you got to let something go before you can go and make it happen. And then when I got to the place and I was knocking that sucker out of the park and it was happening, I had a moment where I thought, that was different. 3 hours ago, I was trying to peel myself from the bed. Well, I wasn't. I was just in the bed. I was not trying to peel myself out. Because I didn't want to. I didn't want to. But something in me did, and that was the divine self. That was the next level of expression that was calling me. That was the I am God saying, you got this. You have everything. What are you waiting on? At least that's how mine talks to me. What are you waiting on? Girl, you've got this. Go do it. Go do it. I just have to convince the rest of me to do that. So stick in the cloudy. You know, when you don't know what's going on, it's okay. That's life. That's life. That's the spiritual life. You can check out if you want and just survive or subsist through life if you want. It's there. So many people are doing it. And I know why they check out, because it ain't easy. There are days I wish I didn't care so much. I wish I could just lay in bed and pull the covers over and not give a crap. I'm not made like that. Actually, none of us are, but some of us have just abdicated who we are. And so we stay with the covers over us, metaphorically or actually. We hide our light under that bushel. We hide our light. So all of this magnificence, that part of you that you have yet to discover, and there's so much of it because it's infinite. Even when you get to the part where life is always or mostly a blow your hair back experience, there's still more. There's still more. It's never going to run out. And I don't know if we do it in this lifetime or another lifetime. I don't know. I don't know what happens. But I know there's always more. Because that's the nature of creation, and that's the nature of God. So keep diving deep. Keep looking in and through yourself. Even when you don't know what's going on. Even when you don't know what it looks like. So that you can discover the galaxies of magnificence that you are, that you cannot fathom, that you can't possibly fathom at this level of expression. One of my favorite songs in the world is by Earth, Wind & Fire, Keep Your Head to the Sky. Yes. Keep your head to the sky. And we do that in consciousness. Keep your head to the sky. Keep your sights up. And keep saying yes. Let's take this into meditation. So if you're in a nebulous place, if you're truly living the spiritual life, something is probably always nebulous in some area of your life. Let yourself be at peace with the clouds. You can't quite see ahead. So imagine yourself in a place. I always like to be in a plane where you're moving through the clouds. It's just a sea of white formations around you. You can't quite see what's above or below you, behind you, in front of you. And maybe there's a little turbulence. Maybe you're a little nervous. Maybe you're white-knuckling it. Hands clenching the armrest. But you're in this vessel of safety. With infinite energy to take you where you need to go, want to go. With God as pilot. God is actually the plane, the seat, the armrest. God is spouses and the passengers around you are fellow human beings who are also hurtling through this life, trying to figure out the nebulous places. And we're all bumping into each other, all on this flight together called life. And it's all good. For there is an infinitely powerful being that is all consciousness, that is all there is, that knows all there is, that created all there is, first cause, just first. And we are surrounded, we are permeated, we are that same consciousness, lacking nothing, having everything, waiting for us to say yes, waiting for us to unclench the armrest. Waiting for us to know ourselves as love and light and wisdom and power, waiting for us to harness it. So that we can shine and shine brilliantly. So that we can inspire others, inspire ourselves. And in that moment of astonishment, in that moment when we realize that God just isn't there, that God is moving through us and as us, and we are having an experience of God in every moment. The infinite is moving through our consciousness into action, as we affirmed earlier. And man, is it magnificent. Simply magnificent. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. We are in an ever infinite state of grace. We have only to open our hearts and minds and say yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, for the choice of magnificence, to the choice to express it, to be it. We already are it, but to step into it, into the world, is truly a gift to ourselves and all of humanity. All of humanity sings when we shine. So let's take a deep breath together. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. We say yes to going to that place where we have not gone before, deeper into our consciousness, more deeply into an experience of God, an experience of good and abundance, pure opulence in all areas of life, body, mind, spirit, and heart. And for this we say, and so it is, and so it shall be.